2021. By His grace, we're alive and we're here. We're yet another edition of this show. Gratitude to Most High God for the very privilege of being alive, and of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making the rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly, but let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic, Agric Ministry alert, prolonged drought worrying, low food production in 4 regions. MPs receive salary arrears, not ex gratia. Majority Chief Whip clarifies. Frank, just hold on a minute. COVID-19 surge, intensive care units, testing facilities not overstretched, Ghana Health Service. Ghanaian Times. Proposed toll increase to fix roads. Don't hike road tolls. 2 transport unions kick against proposal. Threat against journalists. JJ demands prompt action from national security. Canada Japan dragged to privileges committee for threatening journalists. VIP launches digital platform to increase revenue collection. Daily Guide. 3.2 million Ghana cedis allow NPP women chase Lodina. Nandom Chiefs. Lord Nana efforts. JB's keyline quote brought MP's phones. Witness. Minister wants faster technical pace or technology pace. Ghana.gov takes off. The New Crusading Guide. National security rejects bribe. Arrest 4 Chinese in ECG cable theft. Government services go digital with the introduction of Ghana.gov. Samuel Okutu head NLA. Concerned youth of Assemblies of God protest Samuel Okutu's appointment as Lotto boss. Ghana and Koswanti petitions Parliament to enact laws to regulate abandoned state projects. The Insight, Abraham Kumsin, he says paying presidential spouses is criminal. Socialism, new poll says 67% of young Brits want a socialist economic system. Jomo residents suffering, MP cries. The Daily Statesman, government services now digital. Ghana.gov targets 3 billion Ghana cedis improved annual revenue collection. Nandom Chiefs commend President Akufo-Addo. TUC asked to apologize to first and second ladies. Edra disturbances, Chiefs call for military station. Daily Post. Government spent 68.5 million to buy past WASI questions in 2 years from same sole source supplier. Coming soon, did a tax evading company donate to Rebecca Foundation? Government choosing who to punish for insecurity in Ghana. Pratt on Ken Ejipon's threat to journalists. And that's about it for the front pages. We'll be back shortly.
In Ghana and in Africa, there is only one place to look to get that luxurious design and decor for your offices and homes. Visit Jamila Home. We give you the climax of luxury wherever you find yourself. Presidential and executive office furniture, living room set, dining set, stunning mirrors, adorable wallpapers, lovely king and queen size beds, valuable antiques and antique goods, beautiful chandeliers and more. Into the bargain, we provide caring customer service, prompt delivery service, skilled and artistic full house design and decor services, and free decor ideas for your space. Our products and service is unparalleled, boasting of top-tier clients all over the globe. Jamila Home, home of first-class quality furniture, beautiful chandeliers, and antiques.
Obiape ISIS AC, Trese, it will gold-plated things. Yet the copper pipes pa pebi na ye. Gasia, and for how biam rodas and ibia, and a goom. And yet the day, Tanso of 4-in-1 filter system. 80 from a free mubano. Aye kroji. AC, yet the horsepower neto. ISIS Casa a 2.5, a 2.5. Kululu pianim. Yet the BMO, a high sense AC super promo. July, Akobim 8th August 2021. Upe Asia Efe, na Eche, na Chile, na Power. Eye High Sense AC. Comfort to Yemi. 26th July, Akobim 8th August. Madam High Sense, Matiti Suse, who? 5 years warranty. Eda Sutia, High Sense and Kwane to me yes amount. High Sense, everyday prices for everyday people.
Welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. The show is brought to you in kind partnership with X Natural Mineral Water. With me on the show this morning, I have the National Communications Officer of the National Democratic Congress, Sammy Gyamfi. He's also a legal practitioner. Good morning, Sammy.
Good morning, Doc.
Okay, you come and explain why you're in an all-white attire on a Thursday. With me also on the show is the editor-in-chief at large of the New Crusading Guide newspaper, Abdul Malik Bako. Ojam, good morning.
Yeah, man.
Right. Sammy?
Yes, sir.
What are you celebrating?
I'm not celebrating anything. The truth of the matter is that I was running late. So this was what I got a hold of when I opened my wardrobe, and I felt I could quickly wear it.
I'm sure
get here.
I'm sure you had hanged it.
Yes, it was
in
already
anticipation of a victory last year in December.
Oh no! not.
So it's still
this one was
it's still there.
This one was bought post December 2020.
Mischief. I had reports in the media that you were not well.
Oh.
People said they should pray for you.
Oh,
You've been hospitalized.
Yes, I'm told there was even media reports that I've been flown to South Africa, and I was in a critical health condition and so on. That's fake. That was all fake news. I've been in good health. Once in a while, you have health issues because of stress or other minor challenges like malaria and all that, but I have not been that critically ill. And in fact, for the period that they claimed that I was bedridden and all that, I was very strong working for the party. I went to a drive, people saw me there. From there, I was in the Volta region for our communications workshop and all that. So it wasn't true. I think people decided to cook that allegation because they didn't see me at the demonstration, which was...
Where were you not at the
I was there.
demonstration?
I was there, but I was... at the time, because of the stress, traveling up and down, I was a bit weak, so I decided to sit in my car. But I was there from the beginning till the end. Okay. You know, I was not just ready for the camera, so I stayed in my vehicle. That was what happened. Yeah. So it's fake news. And let me appreciate all well wishers and friends from across the globe who called me and expressed concern about the bad news they were hearing. I really appreciate the concern.
So when I saw you wearing the white, I thought that it was
in response
celebrate
to that,
victory over,
maybe
over sickness.
Well,
I thought you were coming to give a testimony to God for saving you.
Yeah, by God's grace, health is a gift. Not everybody is privileged.
Yeah. We take it for granted.
So you can't take it for granted.
We take a lot of things for granted. I mean, even being able to wake up,
Charlie.
I mean, it's something that we take for granted.
Every morning.
Not everybody gets that opportunity, so you need to be thankful to God.
Yeah.
Anytime you're able to open your eyes, stretch your legs and your arms and all that. Look, this I'm beginning to get interested in the question and answer sessions in Parliament, because it appears that quite a number of things are coming up. You know, and yesterday was an interesting day. I don't know if you were following. You know, it was interesting yesterday in Parliament what we heard. Sammy, you went through JHS, SHS, right?
Yes.
Okay, so WASI.
Yes.
Okay, we are old school, so we didn't do WASI.
Yeah.
But government spent 68.5 million to buy past WASI questions in 2 years. And we're told that is page 6 of the Daily Post, and we also have the parliamentary Hansard as well. There's a written response by the Minister of Education, Mr. Yaosei Duchum, to a question posed yesterday in Parliament by the MP for Busa South, Honorable Clement Apak, indicates the Akufo-Addo government has splashed a total of 68,513,455 cedis on 1,035,733 past questions. Honorable Apak wanted to know if government will procure and distribute past exam questions to final year students preparing to write WASI this year, 2021, and how this will be funded. Secondly, he wanted to know how much it cost the state to procure 568,755 past exam questions for students who wrote the WASI in 2020 and the source of funds for the procurement. The written answers of the minister, which he made in Parliament, revealed that government in 2020 and 2021 spent 68,513,455 cedis on 1,035,733 past questions from the free senior high school account. For this year, 2021, government has already spent 34,862,412 cedis on 446,958 past questions at a unit price of 78 Ghana cedis from Mesha's Kingdom Books and Stationery via sole sourcing. In 2020, government spent 33,644,043 cedis to procure 568,755 past exam questions via sole sourcing from the same Kingdom Books and Stationery at a unit price of 59 Ghana cedis. And this is where the catch is. You know, that in 2020, we paid 59 cedis for as a unit price. And then in 2021, we are paying 78 cedis as unit price, all via sole sourcing. And in a post on his Facebook page, the Busa MP, who's also deputy ranking member on Education Committee, wondered why government will spend 68,513,455 cedis and 75 pesos to buy 1,035,733 exam questions through sole sourcing from the same company 2 years in a row, and agree to pay for same exam questions at 78 cedis per unit when it paid 59 Ghana cedis per unit only a year ago. A whopping 32% increase begs the question. And it says, interestingly, the prices of textbooks used by senior high school students have not increased over the period. So how can cost of past exam questions increase by 32% from same supplier?
Yeah.
So this is the issue that came up yesterday in Parliament.
Doug, I think this issue raises serious, problems that we all as Ghanaians need to be concerned about. Anybody who is interested in the kind of education being delivered to our children in our secondary schools and even at the basic level should be interested in this matter, and I believe should be concerned about this expenditure. Let me make the point that in principle, spending money to prepare SHS students who are to sit for examination in the form of procurement of past questions and so on is not bad per se. But what is an issue here has to do with the circumstances surrounding how this particular expenditure was done and the method for the expenditure. I have two basic challenges with this expenditure. The first one has to do with the procurement method that was chosen. I don't know what is so special about the printing of past questions that the contract for same would have to be awarded on a sole sourcing basis. You see, you only resort to sole sourcing per our laws when the service or the goods you are to procure is in limited supply and only one supplier is in the position to supply that good. Or when you have an emergency, okay, and there are time constraints on your hands. These are some of the conditions under which state agencies can resort to sole sourcing as a method of procurement. Now, if you look at this expenditure of printing of past questions, I mean, there are so many book printers and publishers in this country who can print past questions. And so why will government resort to sole sourcing? I would want to know whether they wrote formally to the PPA in accordance with the law and whether the PPA gave approval. And if the PPA gave approval for this expenditure, then we need to interrogate that approval, whether that approval was in consonance with the law. Because the PPA are not above the law. And so when they are giving approval for methods of procurement, they have to adhere to the law. And so the use of sole sourcing as a means for procuring these past questions, I think, gives genuine cause for concern and should be investigated. Because on the face of it, it is not an expenditure that should, or a procurement that should go through sole sourcing. That's the first thing. The second thing has to do with cost. Like Honorable Apak explains in the story you just read, between 2020 and 2021, there's been about a 32% increment in the cost of printing of these past questions, from 59 Ghana cedis per booklet to 78 Ghana cedis. What is accounting for that increment within that short space of time? We need to investigate that and ensure that the nation has gotten value for money. Okay? And that if we could have done it at a cheaper cost, we need to be told that and we need to explore that moving on. So my first problem with this issue has to do with the procurement method which was used and the cost component of the whole transaction. Now, the second problem I have, which is my fundamental problem with this issue, Randy, I said that I don't have a problem if you decide to prepare students by giving them past questions. But you have to get your priorities right. You do what is most important first before you think about the tangentials and the other things that are also to some extent important. So at a time when basic school children in Ghana had not even been given textbooks, and the new curricula that had been developed had not even been given to the schools. At a time when secondary school children had not been given textbooks and were confronted with so many challenges under the implementation of the free SHS policy, was it prudent for government to have spent this colossal amount of 68 million Ghana cedis and over a 2-year period on just the purchase of past questions? That is the question we have to ask ourselves. Parents watching will have to ask themselves that question. Will you prefer that your ward at the basic school level, at the secondary school level, has access to the curricula approved for their learning? Will you prefer that they are giving textbooks, or will you prefer that they are giving past questions and not textbooks? I think that majority of Ghanaians will agree with me that it is more prudent and important to give the students the approved curricula at the basic level, the textbooks at the basic level, and even at the secondary school level, the textbooks and other important learning materials, okay, rather than spend 68 million Ghana cedis. This is no joke. It could have done a lot for secondary education within that time period. And I'm not sure that that money has been put to good use, given the other pressing challenges that secondary education is currently confronted with. So, in principle, there may not be anything wrong with the idea per se. It has to do with the policy of the government of the day. If they prioritize past school to something else, that's fine. But speaking as a Ghanaian, I am concerned that we will prioritize the printing of past questions over the procurement of textbooks for school children, the procurement of the approved curricula for basic schools and all that. It's a clear misplaced priority for me. And so, like I said, let's investigate the procurement method which was used. Let's investigate the amount of money which has been spent on it, the unit price, find out whether we have gotten value for money and whether we could not have gotten it at a cheaper price, because there are suggestions that given the quantum of booklets which were being printed, it could have been printed at a very cheaper cost, because anybody who understands the printing industry knows that the more you print, the cheaper the cost. And so why that price? I think all these issues will have to be investigated. Yeah.
Well, you are calling my attention to this.
Yeah.
So as we speak here,
You don't have the
I
facts.
haven't done any serious search on that matter. But it points to the usefulness of the question time in Parliament.
Yes.
I'm somebody who is in love with that particular thing, and I've taken my time to do a lot of research on question times in Parliament. And of course, the answers that are provided also throw light on certain things in terms of our, processes in this country. So it's a very good exercise. And the member of Parliament who asked that question, I think, is doing a good job in that respect. Yes, Clement Apart, who is our friend. The answers eventually, Randy, are subject to critical scrutiny and validation. And some of the questions Sami has raised are legitimate, of course. But I think that bottom line, we don't have the question answer. Sometimes there's room for supplementary questions.
Yes.
And when that is asked, because the member may not have been too happy with some of the answers, then you have room for supplementary questions. Even other members would also ask to throw light. I don't know if some of these issues we are raising here were raised. I won't be surprised if they were raised, because somebody like Apart, who is asking that question, may have done some little research before asking the question. Then other members too will chip in. So if we get a full picture, it may help us. But it doesn't stop there. Once people have issues with their questions, you see, at bottom line, there should be auditing of this whole procurement. And we all know the agency that will have to conduct the audit. If the auditing is done, it goes to the Public Accounts Committee, for them to look into some of it. So it is not end of the road. very useful, good that issues are being raised, but I think since we haven't ended the process, I will hold my judgment call on the matter.
But I think we need a special investigation on this. Waiting for the Auditor General may take a bit too long. Why was competitive tender not used as sole sourcing? We need answers. Okay, was that approval by the PPA? If indeed they gave that approval, was it regular? We need to understand that. And couldn't we have done this at the
Parliament
cheaper
is
cost?
so minded, why not? The person who asks the question can take one more step.
Maybe move a
Yes,
motion
and there's
for
a
a parliamentary probe.
committee on
Education.
and all that.
Yeah,
So
they can do
no-
that. I
no
think
big
that's a
deal
good
at all.
idea.
Because one of the key things he raises is the hike in the price over a 1 year period, that 59 to 78.
These are legitimate
Same
concerns,
company, sole
subject
sourcing.
to
Yeah, why one company at a time?
Whilst
Why
at the
that
same
monopoly?
time, textbook prices remain the same.
The same,
Yeah.
you know. Why that monopoly?
All right, so center spread of the Ghanaian Times, threat to journalists. GJ demands prompt action from national security. And Canada Japan faces privileges committee for allegedly threatening journalists. And Jonathan Donko reports that the Ghana Journalists Association has urged the national security apparatus and all personalities petition on the threat against broadcast journalist Erastus Asare Donko to handle the matter with urgent promptness and utmost seriousness. The association said it will be a fatal gamble to toy with the threat made by the Member of Parliament for Asin Central and Chairman of the Parliamentary Defence and Interior Committee, Canada Japan, following similar threats that preceded the assassination of Ahmed Swale, another journalist, in 2019. Quote, "It is not enough for the petition to the relevant quarters to gain traction. What is most needed is concerted action on all fronts to address the issues," the GJ President Roland Afemoni said at a press conference held in Accra yesterday. On Friday, so the paper actually recalls the issue. And Mr. Money said, although Mr. Japan was known for his plain talk and verbal jabs, which could make some people take his latest threat as normal, the comment ignited concerns about the Ahmed Swale case, in which Mr. Japan incited people to be the deceased over his role in the number 12 football expose. Quote, "True, we lack the expertise to establish any causal nexus between Mr. Japan's comments then and the assassination thereafter. It is also true that we do not need superfluity of evidence to measure the alignment impact of such offensive utterances on some rogue elements in society." The Swale assassination, Mr. Money said, was the main reason for Ghana's decline on the World Press Freedom Index, noting that the latest threat on Mr. Donko was another, prompting to deal with the cancer of impunity, which was a stain on Ghana's reputation as the citadel of press freedom in Africa. Said there was the need for the country to defend its press freedom record that inspired a decision by Twitter to set up its headquarters in Accra, and plans by the Abidjan-based Union of Journalists for Africa Free Press to relocate its headquarters to Accra. To journalists, he said, they should defend their freedom and hold power to account, but be guided by the values of truth, fairness, balance, and objectivity. Says, as for the enemies of press freedom, the laws must bite hard, regardless of who they are and what they have. That way, our national motto of freedom and justice will hold. On page 4, Julius Yao-Petechi reports that the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, has referred Asin Central MP, Kennedy Japan, to the Privileges Committee of the House for his alleged threat on the life of a journalist. The referral of Mr. Japan, as the chairman of the Defence and Interior Committee of the House, was necessitated by a prayer to the Speaker by MP for Tamale North Al-Hassan Suhini. In a viral video circulating on social media, Mr. Japan was heard whipping public sentiments against Kumasi-based Love FM's Erastus Asare Donko for his coverage of the Jura shootings, which has left 2 persons dead and 4 others injured. And unenthused by Mr. Donko's journalistic work as contained in the multimedia group's complaints to Ashanti Regional Police Command, the lawmaker urged that we should beat the hell out of the journalist. He added that if he was the president, he would have ensured that Mr. Donko was beaten mercilessly. Bringing the matter to attention as Speaker, the journalist said the conduct of Mr. Japan has brought the image of the House into disrepute, hence the need for the disciplinary committee to investigate same. Quote, "Mr. Speaker, for those utterances to be attributed to the Defence and Interior Committee chairman, it drags the name of this House into the mud. In line with Standing Order 7 of the House, Mr. Bagbin directed that alleged utterances of the lawmaker are investigated by the Committee of the House. Quote, "This is my first time of hearing this matter. As it is now, I'm compelled to refer the matter to the Privileges Committee. It's a matter the committee will have to go into and report to the House for the House to decide whether the honorable member is contemptuous of the House or not." Mr. Bagbin said, "Under the circumstances, I direct that this matter be referred to the Committee on Privileges for investigation and report to the House." Okay. So, yesterday, we looked at this issue, and I couldn't help but relate it to something we discussed a couple of months ago here. And you realize that anybody dealing with this issue refers to Ahmed Swale. And the issue has to do with the MP saying that the police were aware of who the murderer of Ahmed Swale was, and that the police had told him the identity of the person, and that the police have had this information for 1 year, yet they have not put the information out to exonerate him, and that he keeps getting embarrassed being linked to the murder. And he referred to even what happened to him in Houston when a then House of Representative member had lodged a complaint against him in connection with that murder, and that he was forced to come out because the police know who the murderer is, they're sitting on it, and the worst part is that anytime the police told him that anytime they attempt to make a swoop on this murderer, the police in Ashanti region tips the person off and the person escapes. And we thought that, look, these were very, very serious allegations against the Ghana police, because one, like the GJA said, this matter has even affected our ranking on the World Press Freedom Index. There's a blot on this country's image and integrity and everything. And for us to hear, and this is not just coming from anybody, not just even any member of parliament, but the chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. Yet, all we heard after 2 months or so was a test, it is not true, by the director of CID.
Randy, I'm sure, and you see, you know it, but I don't think everybody in the public space knows it, that I have a peculiar challenge anytime, in recent times especially, if I have to interrogate issues concerning Mr. Japan. It's a natural human thing. I'm in court with him. Indeed, he lost the High Court case, as you know. He served notice of appeal, so we are at the Court of Appeal. Not much has happened, but very soon I think something will happen. So personally, when I'm interrogating him, you know, I look at what people may be saying. Oh, is it my sentiments? Is it not just being pushed? My statement that is it not being pushed by a sentiment, you know, mere sentiments? Because we have a challenge with each other. All sorts of things that he said. You know, I went to the appropriate forum. So out there, yes, anything I see could be colored by, you know, the processes I have with him in court. It's possible, I'm human. But this is a case of huge public interest. It's a case that borders on a threat to journalists. And there have been previous examples. So I'm unable to exercise a code of silence. I'll be measured in how I go about it so that people don't think there's a personal element in my analysis. So let's begin from where you ended. Yes, the Director General of the CID held a press conference not too long ago, and I think a journalist posed a question to him as to the veracity or otherwise of what Mr.
So first, the press conference was not because of that.
No.
Yes.
No. I think they were given an update on crime situation in the country. And the journalist positively, in my candid opinion, I don't know which journalist, but asked that question. It was timely. The Director General of the CID indicated that, look, it's not true. What am I saying? It's not true. And you know, I had previously had conversations with the Director General of CID on this matter. And he told me that Kennedy Chapon was out of the jurisdiction and that they would invite him if he came. Subsequently, he even told me that he had called him, they had spoken on phone, and so when he arrives, they would invite him. Now, the answer he gave at the press conference was very terse, I mean, simple and short. Ordinarily, not even professionally, one would expect that perhaps he should have indicated that, look, we are going to invite him if they had not already invited him, and let him give them evidence of what he was saying. So there's a deficit relative to what the Director General, the answer he gave, even though there's a broad line that what the Member of Parliament was saying was false. But it's not sufficient, because we are talking here of serious crime, murder of a journalist, in this case Ahmed Swale, and somebody is claiming that he knows the identity.
That the police told him?
Yes, and that the source of his information was the police. And that this gentleman, he gave a name, of course, a certain gentleman came out and indicated he wasn't, but I watched your program last time, and the point was answer Giabo. There could be thousands of them around. But that gentleman,
apparently every Ansu is a Giabo.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. There was a judge even like, interesting. But this gentleman, for some reasons, thought he was the one being referred to, because others put his picture.
Oh.
Yes, those people who were following Kennedy Japon's team then extracted his picture, that gentleman's picture, I think from his Facebook page, and said, here is the suspect. And that's why he felt obliged to defend himself and purge himself. Subsequently, I think Kennedy Japan
that's
came
him,
out.
right?
No, that's Erastus Asaridonko.
No, this is not Erastus.
That's Erastus.
Really? No.
That's him.
Okay, we're watching
this
different things. Okay.
Okay. This one, I'm watching this one. You're watching this one.
Right.
That's Ansu.
I watched the guy on Facebook, and he had good reasons for doing what he was doing, because some people had put his picture.
That's him. This guy.
Yeah, put his picture out there that he was the person. I think Kennedy Japan subsequently said this was not the person.
Okay.
I heard him say this is not the person. But Randy, it's all a messy situation. Let's be honest. I think the police CID should go one step beyond the answer the CID boss gave at the presser. If they haven't already called Kennedy Japan to help them officially, which of the commanders of the Asante region told him
past and present?
Past and present. Is this too difficult? He should supply the names. The police ought to call those persons. You see, because already the Ahmed case is like has become a cold case of assault. And already people are complaining. It is not as if it's the first case that is unresolved. But it is also a case of huge international significance. Huge. So, as much as possible, the police must be seen and heard to be doing something about it. We are not saying they are magicians. After all, they work in collaboration with the public and other things. And so, but be seen and heard to be working in order to unravel it. And don't allow somebody who is not a policeman, who is not an investigator, to be out there, should I say, polluting the environment. That person, his own conduct and things is what has attached him to the Swale thing. As the GDA president said, we are not going to sit here and say there's a casual linkage. I won't do that. Okay? And I think none of us will do that. But was it our fault? Is it our fault? This is a self-inflicted predicament that the Member of Parliament is carrying on his head and shoulders. And instead of allowing, if you have information, you give it to the police.
No, he's frustrated that he's being embarrassed. The police have the information. For 1 year, they will not put information out to exonerate him.
Do you believe that? I know you don't.
He's the chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee in Parliament.
That's the point, you see. That's why I was going to be measured. Because obviously, when I say something, somebody who's so, but it's predictable. The man is fighting him. He's accused him of being a galamsey, a fraud, a corrupt person. He's fighting back. It's so difficult, Randy. But I tell you something. The first time I heard he was chairman of that very important committee, I felt sorry. Because look, I'm a student of parliamentary history and love. It's my favorite arm of government. I was, maybe this is personal. I wasn't excited, and I'm being very charitable and measured. But let's put that aside. After all, he started doing these things before he became the chairman. Perhaps that's why he shouldn't even have been made the chairman. But I don't know what went into it for our members of parliament to do so. And I don't want to sound too personal. Let's get to the core of the matter. He appears to have some information, in my opinion, of dubious validity. But he's out in the public space. So it is for the agency of state that is responsible for investigating that incident, that gruesome assassination of a journalist, to invite him. If he won't come voluntarily, then bring him there according to law. Okay? And deal with that matter. So, relative to the Ahmed thing and the things he's saying, I think the Ghana police has failed, especially the CID. They have failed in dealing with the matter. I'm not talking about their failure at this stage to unravel the suspects. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how they've handled the information that this member of parliament has been putting out there consistently. This is a gentleman who appears to know who killed who. In all matters, he appears to know, and he throws names out. You know the member of parliament who died.
JB Dankwa.
Yes, he listed some 3 or 4 people as the suspects. I'm sure you know.
Yes.
Yes. So there's a certain character trait that appears to be accompanying him on these matters. One fine day, maybe somebody will do a psychoanalysis of such a person. But you see, this is why I'm being careful, because you are not careful, you stray into things that may be perceived as personal attacks. And especially in my case, somebody who is motivated by some reasons. So, bottom line, Ghana police, especially the CID, should know that they are not handling this particular information that the member of parliament has been putting out there in a professional and diligent manner. That's my judgment call on that. It's been sent to where? No, under the threat. Because we are dealing with a new one.
Yes.
We are not special breeds of human beings, journalists. We are not. We are subject to the laws of the land and everything, even our code of ethics and all that. If you have a problem with the work of a journalist, Randy, this constitutional dispensation has outlined some procedures, some things for us to do. Look, whatever the content of the report Mr. Japan was complaining about, the National Media Commission is there. You have a constitutional right to rejoinder. There are many other media outlets. Indeed, the pluralism of our media regime is said that sometimes they cure each other. So, threat is completely out. There is no legal regime or constitutional provisions that gives you the chance to issue threats. I'm happy Multimedia has taken it up. They filed a formal complaint with the police. They could have gone to the Media Commission as well. But I'm happy they filed a formal complaint with the police, because this is a criminal assertion. I mean, to threaten somebody is criminal, you know. So that's good enough. But will they go further? That's the question we're all going to ask ourselves soon. What as to the steps, the practical steps they take. I'm also happy with the member of parliament, Suhini, our own friend, who is also initiated this, and the speaker, in a fast-track manner, referring it to the Committee of Privileges. It's not the first time Mr. Japan's conduct is going to be referred to the Committee of Privileges. I'm sure you know that. Oh yes, there was one. There was one that, and indeed
he actually insulted parliamentarians.
Yes, but he was dragged there. I think that was the incident. Sir Mensah and others. Yes, and unfortunately I didn't bring the report, but he was indicted, and you know, again, Parliament treated him in a soft way. The apology was taken on good faith, and matter died. You know, there was a case, the Ghana Airway things, the one relative to the registration exercise in the Odododio, I'm not sure I've pronounced it well, constituency. You remember that incident? And of course, again, it is how the state, especially the prosecution, handled that matter. They began with some useless, high-fluting, you know, charges of genocide and all those things were ridiculous. Eventually, they reduced it to the provocation of riot, contrary to Section 200 and Section 1961 of Act 29, 1960. Then offensive conduct, contrary to Section 207 of Act 29, 1960. Unfortunately, Randy, you read this judgment. Prosecution was the Achilles heel. So the court freed him. He was discharged and acquitted in accordance with law. If the prosecution is weak and is wrong-headed, the suspect or the accused will go. So that's what happened. So perhaps, you know, and again, this is where people will say, there he goes. It is the way and manner state agencies, including Parliament in this case, have handled issues surrounding this gentleman, which perhaps has unleashed a certain impunity. You know, I'm being measured. I wish I could speak the way I want to speak on these matters, but I know people will appreciate that I'm not being personal. The facts are so clear that there is something very wrong when a legislator goes on this path consistently and the cure is not administered to stop the mischief. It's so sad.
Yeah. Right, we'll be back shortly.
The search for a reliable partner in dealing with town buses, genuine spare parts, its repairs and maintenance at our highly effective workshop with remarkable speed. We also have available the sale of Camel car batteries, Weichai and Kia spare parts, Zonton coaches and light duty vehicles for everyday movement. Contact us on 020-000-0831 or 054-555-7500. You can also email us info@saautomobilegh.com or visit our website at www.saautomobilegh.com. SA Automobile, the pleasure of doing business with you is all ours.
Accra, commercial capital of Africa, will host the 5th Ghana International Trade and Finance Conference, GITFIC, on the 27th of July 2021 at the Movenpick Ambassador Hotel in Accra at 9 a.m. prompt. This year's theme is Facilitating Trade and Trade Finance in AFCFTA, the role of the financial services sector. The event will host continental dignitaries including AU Commissioner for Trade, Industry and Mining, the Governor of the Central Bank of Ghana, the Governor of the Central Bank of Francophone West Africa, the Governor of the Central Bank of Francophone Central Africa, Director General of WAMI, ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, the African Development Bank, Ghana's Commissioner for Insurance, and several others within the trade and finance space of Africa's economies. The 5th International Conference will be opened by His Excellency Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, and moderated by Mr. Prince Moses, General Manager, Asasi Radio. Critical and urgent continental issues on the Pan-African payment and settlement system within the AfCFTA and others will be discussed with apt solutions to influence regional and continental policies. Proudly sponsored by the Bank of Africa, the Bank of Ghana, GIZ Support Project for the AfCFTA, and Asasi Radio.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Show is brought to you in kind partnership with X Natural Mineral Water. Still with me on the show, I have Sami Jemfi and Abdul Malik Kwekubako. Sami?
Doc, this is a very sad story. Since the story broke, I have been thinking about our justice delivery system in this country, to whether or not it is one that we can have confidence in as a people. Because it appears some people are sacred cows who cannot be touched in this country. It appears that the current government and their governance is one of an animal farm where certain people are more human than others and are deemed to be above the law. For me, that is the gravamen of this issue. Mr. Bako has done justice to the topic, and I agree with most of the things he has said on this matter. The threats of harm made by Kennedy Japan on the life of Multimedia's Erastus Asaridonko is reprehensible and condemnable. But not just that, it is also criminal. Because Section 74 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act of Ghana 1960 makes threats of harm a crime. And so you cannot wake up and threaten anybody with harm or with death. In fact, threat of death under Section 75 is even a second-degree felony. These are the provisions in our laws that we have promulgated or adopted for ourselves as a people. And everybody in this country, including the president, are subject to the law. I mean, what did Erastus Asaridonko do wrong? He only appeared before the committee which has been set up by the president to investigate the Edra killings and gave a faithful account based on information within his personal knowledge as a journalist. Kennedy Japan is not in his head. He was not in a draw with Erastus. He doesn't know what Erastus knows. He doesn't have the information Erastus has. So what is his beef? If you think that the testimony the gentleman gave before the committee is inaccurate, ask to be called as a witness before the committee and give your counter evidence. Or at least trust that the discerning people on that committee can read in between the lines and know whether that testimony is truthful or not. On what basis can you say that because you disagree with the testimony of a journalist who has appeared before a committee, and I believe he gave evidence under oath, and you know lying under oath is perjury, on what basis can you say that because you disagree with his testimony, you are going to call for him to be beaten? According to him, Erastus should have been given a beating of his life. And that if he was president, he would have ensured that Erastus was beaten. That is clear threat of harm. He doesn't have that right to do so. He's not entitled to that. It is illegal, it is criminal, and we cannot tolerate that as a country. But you see, the reason why he's been emboldened to engage in this conduct with brazen impunity is because President Akufo-Addo, his vice Dr. Bawumia, their government, and the new patriotic party he belongs to have been encouraging and endorsing his reckless acts over the years. That is it. That is what has emboldened him to engage in more of such criminal conduct with impunity. Let's not blame this on the states. Me and you and Mr. Bakun, we don't have any part in this. We are not the ones encouraging Kennedy Japan to do this. Those encouraging him and emboldening him to do what he's doing are those who have been entrusted with the responsibility to check and fight crime, and who have evidence of his criminal conduct, criminal utterances, and yet have chosen to do nothing about it. This is very, very similar, in fact, similar on all fours to the same threats he made against Ahmed Swale. That's Anazari Miyawanas's partner who worked on the number 12 expose. He had the effrontery to sit on television, and here I'm going to blame multimedia, because he didn't only make those threats against the life of Ahmed Swale on Net 2, which is owned by him, but he made some of these threats on multimedia platforms like Begum on Adum TV and Asempa FM. What was Kenansa, the COO, and Kwesi Twum doing? I mean, why did they allow that? Would they allow Sami Jemfi sit on Adum TV and Asempa FM, threaten anybody with harm or death? But they allowed him because they see him as a demigod in this country. I don't have any problem with him. I don't have any personal problem with him, despite the insults he has heaped on me and all that. But the truth has to be said. The way the media itself has pampered this man and treated lightly the kind of serious allegations and threats and criminal utterances he's been making in this country is part of the problem too. So he published the photographs of an undercover investigative journalist, Ahmed Swale, and Anazari Miyawanas, and called on people to search for them, and wherever they find them, beat them up and come to him for money. In fact, in one of his interviews on Asempa FM, he even said that if Anaz and Ahmed Swale had done what they did, and that is the number 12 expose, in some other jurisdiction, they would have been murdered. He said the sign he made, he was talking about killing. And the journalists looked on. They can't stop him. They are so helpless when he appears before them. So helpless. This is a man who should have even been blacklisted on certain media platforms because of his utterances. None of us can say half of the things he says on radio and get away with it. But we allow him, we tolerate him. And so on the back of that, of those threats against Ahmed Swale, he was murdered in cold blood one evening. Today, his wife is a widow. He's left behind children. I don't know how they are even faring. Okay, and we still haven't found the perpetrators of that dastardly act. I'm not saying that he was the one who murdered him, but at least he was the one who openly threatened Ahmed Swale with harm and with death. And that threat alone,
with harm.
I will add death, because on the Asempa FM, that threat was a threat of death.
No,
that video is available. Adum TV.
Yeah.
Where he said that, if that was death, it's not harm. For me, that is death.
No,
that's my interpretation.
He said if it had occurred somewhere.
What was it? He was talking about
This, that's what he said. He didn't say
You were inviting him to, you were subjecting him.
That's your interpretation.
Me, that's my interpretation.
Yes.
That's my interpretation. Yes. Doc. So, at least, I'm saying that I don't have evidence that he's the one responsible for the murder, and it will even be unfair to say that he's the one who killed Ahmed Swale. But at least he threatened Ahmed Swale with harm and death. And for that reason alone, he should have been arrested and put before a court of competent jurisdiction. Sami Jemfi cannot threaten anybody with harm in this country and get away with it. Look at how I was arrested in that rumble style by, CID personnel wielding sophisticated arms on the premises of Despite Media. over a frivolous matter that, you know, the police themselves couldn't substantiate when I appeared before them. Look at how people like Ufuswampofu are being treated over alleged utterances, you know.
That's in court, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. But look at the seriousness with which the CID attached to that particular investigation and the alacrity with which he was put before a court of competent jurisdiction. And look at other similar matters and applied that, or if like compare and contrast that with how they handle issues involving Kennedy Japan. You come to the conclusion that they see this man as a demigod, an untouchable sacred cow who is above the law, who they are all scared and afraid of. I don't know what he has on them or what he's been giving them that they are all afraid and scared of him. You understand? Now, Doc, even the issue you alluded to, after Amos Wale was killed, this man, years down the line, says on radio and says that the police know the killers of Amos Wale. They've actually told him Kennedy Japan. And he has evidence that the police are shielding the criminals who killed Amos Wale. The police denies that. They indicate that he will be invited for questioning when he returns into the country. The man has returned into the country. He's been in the country for months. And we've not been told about any such invitation extended to him, any such investigation, or any prosecution, or any punishment whatsoever. In Nana's case, the reason why I say I blame this on Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bo, you know why I say so? He actually made those threats against Amos Wale in defense of the president. Because what he said was that, because the number 12 expose was not about Kennedy Japan. It was not his case. He was not implicated in that expose. It was the president who, to some extent, was implicated because his name was being used by the then GFA president to solicit for bribes. Whether that was with the knowledge of the president or not is something that has to be investigated. But at least it was the president who was smeared or implicated in that matter. And Kennedy Japan came out and said that
fair.
At least he was caught up in that whole expose because somebody was captured on tape using his name.
The president was not a suspect.
He was not a suspect, but I'm saying that the main suspect who was caught on tape soliciting for bribes was using the president's name for that conduct. So at least his name was mentioned. Yes, exactly. Now I am saying that it was on that basis that Kennedy Japan came out and said, Amos Wale and Anas are bad boys. They wanted to disgrace the president. And in fact, he said that they had attempted to set up the president on one of his trips to one country. I'm sure Mr. Bako remember. So he called them bad boys. And said that because they had attempted to disgrace the president, that is why he was doing what he was doing. So the fight he was fighting, according to him, Kennedy Japan, he was fighting in defense of the president. The president never issued a statement to distance himself from that. He never condemned that. They all looked on unconcerned, very nonchalant. And that is how they have been on all reckless and criminal conducts involving Kennedy Japan. Very nonchalant. Nobody cares. To the extent that, in spite of all these things, he has been rewarded with the position of chairman of the Interior and Defense Committee of Parliament.
He's one of the most senior MPs. Yes.
I mean, and you think that he has the proven integrity and
you see,
character to merit that appointment?
No, even with the previous parliament, he was chairman of a committee.
No, communication.
Yes. Communications. But I'm saying from communications to Interior and Defense.
In contest, assumes a certain significance.
Somebody who is involved in all these issues. Been reported to the police, they claim they are investigating him and all that. Somebody who, I mean, I don't understand this. So you see, he got away with the Amos Wale issue relative to the threat of harm, and for me, the threat of death. The president did not condemn it. Our security agencies did not act. And so because of that, he's emboldened to do what he's doing to Erastus today. Who knows? I've spoken to Erastus. And I know that because of this threat, he is not even attending work like he used to do. Because you don't know who will decide to act on this threat. Particularly given the environment he finds himself in, Kumasi, the capital of the stronghold of the MPP. It may not be a sanctioned operation by Kennedy Japan, but any lunatic anywhere can act on that threat. And that is the danger. And Mr. Kennedy Japan should sit down carefully and reflect on some of these things that he does. It is not right. It is not right at all. So I want to commend our member of parliament for Tamale North, Honorable Al-Hassan Suhini, for raising this issue on the floor. And I want to particularly commend the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Alban Bagbin, for acting on this matter with alacrity, referring this matter to the Privileges Committee. We wait to see whether the New Patriotic Party once again will come to the defense of Kennedy Japan. Because yesterday, their deputy minority leader, Afenyo Makin, from his body language and the kind of things he said on the floor, gave me the indication that they don't support the referral of Kennedy Japan to the Privileges Committee. So I will not be surprised if they defend him again, and if they do so, then they will carry the baggage as well. You understand? So it is important that when these things happen, it should not be left to Mr. Bakon, Randy Abe, Sami Jenfi, or the NDC alone, or the media alone. The MPP by now should have issued a statement condemning that threat. Government should have done so, same. Or even the majority caucus in parliament should have done same. Let's all express our revulsion about some of these things that this member of parliament has been doing, and ensure that the laws are enforced, because he is not above the law. Not even the president of the republic is above the law. So why must we treat him as if or as though he's above the law? We can't build a country like that. Finally, what happened to the raw, abusive words, the insults he heaped on a certain judge? What happened? Has the judiciary also become toothless? The matter went to the Supreme Court because they raised issues of natural justice against the judge. They said the judge has an interest in the matter, so cannot preside over that matter. And the Supreme Court directed that the matter should be referred to another judge. What is the status of that matter? Which court has the matter been referred to? And when is the case listed? Because we've not heard anything. Are they trying to make that one too a foolish case? Because lawyers in this country have been punished for less. And somebody says on television, I can't repeat the insults. Look at the words he used on a certain judge. And then the apex court says the judge cannot preside over the matter. Yet the apex court presides over contempt matters which they have interest in. You can't preside. We will refer the matter to. Oh, fine. Me, I'm just raising the issues. No, then the matter, we are not hearing what is happening. The Attorney General, we are not seeing any commitment on his part. Why are we doing this? So all this is part of the culture of lawlessness and impunity which is festering under this government. And it is because of the posturing of the leader, President Akufo-Addo. Leadership is all, everything else is effect. Until he comes out to distance himself from this man, condemn some of these acts, and direct the law enforcement agencies who for some reason are so timid and afraid of this man to work, we will go nowhere, and you will make even more worse stress. The next time, he's threatening me. I reported it to the police. Nothing happened. I didn't even get a call from them. Nothing happened. Okay, we don't know who may be next. Maybe Mr. Bako. Today that you have criticized him, or Dr. Randy, today that you have given us the opportunity to talk about him, he can even come after you. You know, why must we create this problem?
Randy has already been a target.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that. You are in the same several. You are in the same soup with us.
There was a time we discussed JB Danquai thing, and I think somebody misinformed him that I had said that he was implicated in that matter. But I remember the point I was making was that he went to the crime scene because he was called by some police people, according to him, and he attempted to go to a certain area, and Dampari, who was present, said no. And it's a normal thing. You can't go to the crime scene which had been taken off. It meant nothing. I only was accounting. In fact, I was reading a police CID report, you know. So, but he went. Somebody told him that we were implicating him in the murder, and he flew up. But it turned out not to be true. This is not like a defense of the president relative to number 12. It's so patent that the president was not implicated. In fact, otherwise Tiger Eye itself would have known how to paint that picture. They had gone to the president to indicate that, look, this man is peddling influence using your name, and these are the things that he said. What did the president do? Eventually, the president referred that case to the CID. and I believe that case is right now in court. Recently, I saw some news reports and things. So, relative to the president, he had not sent the Kwesi Techi. We all know that. Sami himself will know that. Oh, but you are a lawyer.
I don't know
I'm sure.
about that.
No, what I mean is by reading the case, the issues as pertaining in court, you will know. You are a lawyer, and so that's out. But you see, something happened interestingly in my case in court. Because people forget, they think it's only Galamsey that went to court. No, there was a point too about us having set up the president and secretly recorded him, which he went haywire, that it was I and us and only the president present, and I had hidden the camera. But you know, in the cross-examination, he admitted that he was wrong. That, yes, so it's a court record. That's not a subject of the appeal as such.
So you should come and apologize.
He's admitted that he did not tell the truth, that what he peddled was an obvious untruth, and so in court it's on record. But you see, it was a classic case of misguided and misplaced aggression. That's what it was. He thought he was defending the president, and so in the process he had to attack Anas, attack Swali, and attack me. For me, when we finished the court case, cross-examination of that, I said, well, this is it.
And why didn't the president, whose name was being used by Kennedy Japan for all that, dissociate himself from that? But the man said it openly on public platforms that you try to embarrass the president and I will not take that and I'm doing this in defense of the president.
What the president did was refer the case to CID. I vote for that option.
And what has the CID done?
The case is in court.
So if the president, who is the commander, no, not that part.
Which part?
Which case is in court?
The Nyantechi case.
No, I'm talking about the threats on Ameswali.
Okay,
Japan is not standing prosecution for that.
No.
So I'm saying that
because I was discussing,
if he made those threats in defense of the president, one would have expected that the president will come and say, look here, the journalist was entitled to do what they did. I don't think that they deserve to be threatened for that. And so if you want to do, don't use my name. You understand? But he didn't do that. And you see, something small on what you said about the president not being implicated. It is true that in that whole number 12 expose, the president was not caught anywhere soliciting for bribe or taking bribe. So to that extent, you are correct. But if you look at the fact that Mr. Nyantechi said in that expose to the people that he thought were genuine businessmen that he was trying to solicit bribes from, that look, I can take you to the president. Don't give me the money. I will take you to the president. And when we are done talking, you just tell the president that, Mr. President, we know that you are just coming from a very expensive campaign. So this is something small for you. That meant that Nyantechi actually intended to carry out. No, that's a fact. No. It's not a laughing matter. No. What you know, Mr. Bako, you know that thing is contained.
Let's move on.
So this is not a person who was just engaged in influence peddling.
Let's move on.
We all know him to be the friend of the president. And he said, I will take you to the president.
Let me tell you something.
I will take you to the president so that you hand over the bribe to him. Who does that? Nobody engages in influence peddling like that too. I won't take the bribe, but I will take you to the man himself. Go and give him the money.
Just hold on. Let's move on.
And look at the minute details about government projects the guy had. That matter has to be investigated. Well, let's move on to the emoluments matter.
No, we're not moving there yet.
Oh boy. you yourself.
He said,
it's true. You know what I'm saying is true.
He had to find a way to bring that issue back.
Yes.
It's very clear. You know that matter.
I don't know if you've also received some past questions.
Oh, no. That is very true. It was not.
Come on.
Sammy?
Yeah.
He said, she said, there are allegations against the Chief Justice.
Yes.
He's referred the matter to police CID. He intends to take civil action. He intends sending a petition to the General Legal Council. But then NDC says he wants a public inquiry into the bribery allegation. Why?
By an independent commission of inquiry.
Why?
Because this issue is a very damning issue that can compromise the integrity of the judiciary and our justice administration system if not dealt with in a transparent manner and in a way that will engender confidence, public confidence in the outcome. We cannot treat this allegation of bribery involving the Chief Justice lightly or as business as usual. Now, that is not to say that allegations are meritorious. As a political party, we have tried to be objective as possible by staying in the middle. There are 3 people who have been mentioned by lawyer Kwesi Afrifa. Lawyer Kwesi Afrifa himself, the said chief who is alleged to have paid a bribe of $5 million to the Chief Justice, Nana Ojedom Obrenu Kwesi Atadisi, and the Chief Justice himself. Okay. Now, the chief has denied the allegations by the lawyer. The Chief Justice has also forcefully denied the allegations. Under the circumstances, you cannot, without transparent investigations, tell which of these 3 accounts is the truth and which one we are supposed to believe. And so, the only way we can unravel the truth in this matter is by conducting transparent investigations. And I want to place emphasis on the word transparent investigations. We disagree with the actions the Chief Justice has taken by referring the matter to the General Legal Counsel and to the CID. Now let me start with the one involving the General Legal Counsel, because that one is present. They will be sitting this evening. And I want to suggest very forcefully that the General Legal Counsel stay off their hands over this matter, in line with the principles of natural justice. Because the General Legal Counsel is an offshoot. The Disciplinary Committee is an offshoot of the General Legal Counsel. That's the Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Counsel. And it is chaired by the Chief Justice, who is the subject of these allegations of bribery. He has influence on that committee.
But he doesn't chair the Disciplinary Committee.
He doesn't chair, but it is still a body that reports to him. You understand? When the Disciplinary Committee sits and conduct investigations into any matter, they will report to the chairman of the General Legal Counsel. So how can the Disciplinary Committee be investigating a matter involving you and be reporting to you? Again, the Judicial Secretary, who administratively handles all these issues, and I believe sits on the, I need to double check that, but I believe he sits on the Disciplinary Committee as well. And you know, in the absence of the Chief Justice, he's the one, the Judicial Secretary is the one who acts. Even when it comes to disciplinary,
in the absence of Chief Justice,
when it comes to,
not the next senior judge that acts.
no, you see,
As CJ.
Yes,
no, not as
CJ.
CJ.
Okay.
When it comes to disciplinary proceedings, Section 18 of the Judicial Service Act says that the disciplinary authority of judicial officers, that's judges and other judicial officers, is vested in the Chief Justice. Okay, that is why when ANAS conducted an expose which exposed some judges taking bribes, the petition was referred to the then Chief Justice Georgina Wood, and it was the Chief Justice who constituted the committee to investigate the matter.
Yes.
So disciplinary authority is vested in the Chief Justice, but the law says that authority can be delegated to the Judicial Secretary under certain circumstances by the President. Now the Judicial Secretary has also taken a position in the matter. She is the one issuing statements for the Chief Justice on this matter. So how can you be trusted as a neutral arbiter, even when the Chief Justice steps aside to handle this matter? So the General Legal Counsel cannot be trusted to investigate this matter. I'm a lawyer, I believe in their integrity and all that, but natural justice demands that they stay off their hands over this matter, because the Disciplinary Committee will be reporting to the chairman of the General Legal Counsel, who is the Chief Justice and who has an interest in the matter. In fact, he is the man who stands accused. Okay, so it is in the interest of the Chief Justice himself to ensure that that is done. Again, we disagree with the referral of this matter to the CID for investigations for 2 reasons. Number one, because the recent track record of the CID is not one that gives the public confidence that they can investigate this matter. Look at the issue we just discussed about Kennedy Japan. Look at how sloppy they have dealt with all these criminal cases of threats of harm by a certain member of parliament and all that. These are not people who have the balls, okay, to investigate issues of corruption involving high-ranking officers. They have not proven that they have that capacity in recent time, at least under the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. You recall the bribery allegation involving the 2 deputy chief of staff, which was made by A+. And he actually filed a complaint to the CID for saying to be investigated. Only for us to get a tape of the then CID boss in a conversation with A+, urging him to forget about the matter, so that President Akufo-Addo can go on with the governance of this country. Because the matter could affect the reputation of President Akufo-Addo and his government. The CID boss. You recall the Galamsey fraud scandal, okay, exposé by Anas Arimiyahu Anas, which was sent to the Office of Special Prosecutor for investigations. And actually, the Special Prosecutor at the time, Martin Amidu, indicated that he was investigating the matter. The CID played a fast one, trying to reroll the whole investigative process. He invited Anas to produce the raw video footages. He refused to do so. They didn't have any material for any credible investigations into that matter. Yet, they issued a report, purportedly whitewashing Charles Bisu, clearing him of any wrongdoing. It's the same thing that happened in the 500 missing excavators matter. Doc, you remember that on this platform you discussed this statement which was issued by the CID, that a complaint had been lodged by Professor Frimpong Boateng, the then Minister for Environment, to investigate Ekwawusi for stealing those excavators. What has happened to that case? It's been turned into a foolish case. Nothing came out of that case. The Australian visa fraud scandal. I can go on and on and on. So they don't have that record. And it is not in the interest of the Chief Justice, because the Chief Justice may be innocent. Who knows? But if you don't get a credible state institution that will investigate this matter in a transparent way that the people can follow, even when they come out and say that you are innocent, nobody will believe them. And that allegation will still hang on your neck. Like allegations of corruption are still hanging on the necks of Pius Ajide, Charles Bisu, Ekwawusi, and the 2 deputy chief of staff, because the investigations that were conducted into these allegations were all fraudulent investigations. So we are saying that for us, let's set up a commission of inquiry under Article 278 of the 1992 Constitution to investigate this matter, like it happens in other jurisdictions. When allegations of misconduct are made against judges in the US, the proceedings are broadcast live through a public inquiry. That can't say that if you've not done anything wrong, to wait, if you've not done anything wrong, you have nothing to hide. So, and you have nothing to be afraid of. And the Chief Justice has given the indication that he's ready to avail himself for any investigations. I am urging him to support our call for the President to set up a commission of inquiry on this matter. And that should the President fail to do so, Parliament should, by a resolution, compel the President to do so under Article 278. So that the proceedings can be broadcast live, everybody can follow the proceedings. If at the end of the day, it turns out that the Chief Justice is innocent, we will all appreciate that and praise him. And I think that will even boost his integrity and reputation. But if you go and do this in camera somewhere, by the CID or the GLC that you have control over, then that creates problems. Then finally, we've said that, yes, there is a criminal element about the allegation. Bribery is a crime. We all know that. But there is also an element of this allegation that borders on alleged misconduct of a judge. Okay? And so, under normal circumstances, like it happened in Anas' expose about the judges, the Judicial Secretary the Judicial Service should have taken up the matter, because the Chief Justice is first of all a judge. And this allegation of bribery is being made by a lawyer in a case that he is presiding over as a judge. So he, as a Chief Justice, should be subjected to, or as a judge, should be subjected to investigations, so that the Judicial Service can establish whether or not it is true that he indeed demanded for a bribe of $5 million, $500,000 of which has already been paid to him, or it is false. The Judicial Service has that responsibility, okay, to do that, because this allegation, first of all, undermines or has the potential to undermine their integrity. And so if that is going to be done, or even if Shraj is going to investigate this matter, like some have suggested, or even if a public inquiry will be conducted into the matter, the Chief Justice will have to step aside, because his continuous stay in office can interfere with the investigations. It can interfere with evidence. You recall that when Richard Anane was being investigated by Shraj. He stepped aside pending the investigations. When he was cleared,
Precision. He did not step aside when the Shraj investigation was ongoing until it ended.
And he was indicted.
He was indicted
Okay.
on
Okay.
not corruption.
That's correct. I remember. I remember. That's correct.
When he was indicted and decided to file the case in court.
Yes,
Then
that is when he
stepped
stepped aside.
aside.
That's fair. But you see, I'm talking about best practice. I'm talking about, that's precise. I'm talking about best practice. I'm talking about good governance. That if you are the Chief Justice, you are heading the General Legal Council, you are heading the Judicial Service, and these bodies have to investigate this matter, then you have to step aside. Either than that, the bodies must stay their hands off the matter. That is fair. Only fair. And it is in his own interest, so that at the end of the day, the outcome will be one that people will buy into, people will believe in. Even if it is a public inquiry, your continuous stay in office as Chief Justice can interfere with evidence and all that. So I would want to appeal to the Chief Justice that in the interest of his own reputation that he has built over the years, he should step aside and allow for transparent investigation into this matter.
Have you considered the implication of this call and the precedent that you perhaps seek to establish? That any time an allegation is made against any person, the person should step aside, irrespective of the frivolity or the weight of the allegation.
I'm not saying so. You see, you have to first of all establish a prima facie case before you even consider a matter worthy of investigations.
Yes.
Now, once that prima facie case is established and investigations are being conducted, then you need to step aside.
So, at which point?
Because the General Legal Council has given a hearing notice to Kwesi Afrifa that they will be sitting on the matter today, meaning that they have established that these matters are worth investigating.
No. The General Legal Council has received a complaint from a client or former client of Kwesi Afrifa. And Kwesi Afrifa, in his response to that, has talked about some things that the client told him.
Yes.
So Kwesi Afrifa is going before the committee to defend himself.
No, so the investigations have begun. It will begin today.
Investigations into
You see,
what?
if you look at our the Legal Profession Act, the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council only conducts investigations into complaints of alleged professional misconduct on the part of lawyers after establishing a prima facie case.
Yes.
That is why in the Ayini matter, we were urging them not to even conduct an inquiry into the matter because the matter is not one that is worthy of investigation. So I'm saying that they got Afrifa's response days ago. For them to have issued a hearing notice to him means that they have decided that there is a prima facie case worth investigating.
Yes.
And that matter, some way, somehow, has to do with the Chief Justice as well.
No, you see, unfortunately, the Chief Justice is not under investigation.
He's not under investigation, but you see, the defense of Kwesi Afrifa.
No, you still don't get the point I'm making.
He's not under investigation. In fact, the General Legal Council cannot even investigate the Chief Justice. So they don't have that jurisdiction over him.
Yeah, so it comes to the point of the establishment of prima facie to necessitate a stepping aside.
But you see, so hold on. So what is the prima facie here? I think that there is prima facie, and I will tell you why there is prima facie. But let me.
No, it's
that
not
will be my
about,
second point.
It's not about your opinion.
That is why I will make that the second point. But I'm saying that the allegations against the Chief Justice constitutes the defense of Kwesi Afrifa. So you cannot investigate that defense and make a determination on it without investigating the allegations of bribery against the Chief Justice. So once the issues are intertwined, once you make a prima facie case that the matter is worthy of investigation, because it is not frivolous, but these are issues that you would want to investigate, you've made that prima facie case.
No.
You've made that hold on. Either than that, then there will not be any investigation today. Once you give a hearing notice, they will be taking evidence.
There is a complaint against a lawyer.
Yes.
That is what the GLC's disciplinary committee will be investigating.
And what is the lawyer's defense? The lawyer's defense is that
my client
I have not taken a bribe. But my client rather told me that the Chief Justice has demanded that I be taken off the case and that he pays a bribe of $5 million to the chief judge. Whether that story is true or not, I cannot tell.
That's not what they will be investigating.
That is what they will be investigating. No, hold on.
No,
Hold on. That is because how can the General Legal Counsel investigate this matter without going into the issues of bribery?
Let me just show you. Let me just show you something. What is before the General Legal Counsel is the conduct of a lawyer. A report by a client into the conduct of a lawyer. A conduct that the client believes is unethical and breaches your rules or your code. So the General Legal Counsel seeks to establish whether indeed,
let me give you a simple
just hold on, whether indeed the lawyer has breached the code and has acted in ways unbecoming of a lawyer. That's what it is.
Okay, let me just give you a simple. Let me even put the explanation I'm giving is a bit complicated because the issues are intertwined. So maybe that is why we are disagreeing. But let me give you a simple one, which is a different one. As we speak now, there are 2 petitions before the General Legal Counsel on this issue. Because the Chief Justice himself has also referred the matter to the General Legal Counsel.
But that's not an issue now.
He has referred the matter there.
Yes.
I am saying that why will he refer the matter to the General Legal Counsel? He thinks that there is a matter of alleged professional misconduct on the part of the lawyer which must be investigated. It means that in his opinion, he thinks that the matter is worthy of investigation. Yes. There is a prima facie case. So based on that alone.
No, but the GLC must consider the CJ's petition and decide whether...
The GLC need not conduct two different proceedings.
No, but all I'm trying to...
The issues can be anytime...
Yeah, but I mean, as what we know now... is that whatever Kwesi Afrifa is going to do today has to do with the petition.
That may not be accurate because between the time the hearing notice was issued to him and the time that he will be appearing today, the Chief Justice has taken exception to allegations contained, and he has also referred the matter to the General Legal Counsel. And I think that what will be done in this case is what is done under normal circumstances.
Are you aware
where the issues will be considered
are you aware if the General Legal Counsel has written to Kwesi Afrifa on the CJ's petition?
Well, I've not spoken
First
to Kwesi
of all, I don't
Afrifa.
even know if the petition by the CJ has landed at the GLC.
No, the statement which was issued by the Judicial Secretary said that the CJ has referred the matter to the General Legal Counsel. Okay. And you see, even lawyers for Ojedom have also filed a reply to that response in which they mount a defense against that allegation and even try to defend the Chief Justice and all that.
That's not a reply to it. They are speaking to the public domain.
No,
the GLC has not asked them for any response.
But who was that then response?
I think it's because it's in the public domain. So
but who was it addressed to? Was it a press release? Was it a press release?
No, it wasn't to the GLC. The GLC hasn't written to them. No. I
have the letter. I'll check whether it is addressed to them. But what I saw was addressed to the GLC because they were making that. So I'm saying that whichever way you look at it, the Chief Justice himself thinks that the matter should be investigated because it is a serious matter.
Yes.
Okay, and so we've gone beyond the issue of prima facie. And so if we all think that this is a serious matter worthy of investigations, why do you continue to be there? Why do you continue, especially when your continuous stay in office can influence the investigations because of the position you find yourself in? You are the man in whom disciplinary authority of judicial officers are vested. And allegations of misconduct have been made against you as a judge. How can you set up a committee to investigate that matter and report to you? It is not done anyway.
Okay. Well,
yeah. Oh boy.
You obviously disagree.
Yes, to a large extent. Yeah. See, do we have constitutionally laid down provisions and procedures in tackling a case related to the misconduct, alleged misconduct of a Chief Justice? We do, don't we? I hear Sami go to which part of the one?
I spoke about the Judicial Service Act. Yes. Because what you are going to talk about is not about investigations of misconduct. I know what you're going to read.
No, first of all, you have referred us to Article 278.
Yes.
The establishment of a commission of inquiry. Yeah. And you've pointed us to 278C, I'm sure that's where your reference was. Parliament by resolution request that the Commission of Inquiry be appointed to inquire into any matter specified in the resolution has been a matter of public interest. So who does that? Some members of Parliament could move a motion to that effect. As we speak, we don't have that.
But we have advised our MPs to.
Thank you. Thank you. You see, Randy, so that we don't continue prosecuting this case, quote unquote, within the realm of propaganda or court of public opinion. It's a serious matter. And so I was looking for what are the specific steps that could be taken to unravel this matter. In my candid opinion, I think that allegation is useless. That's my own opinion about it. But I can't impose.
Prejudged the matter.
Oh, but
before an investigation.
I'm just a journalist, just making a public opinion expression. So it has no effect, really. It's a personal view that is malicious and useless. But because it concerns a public office holder of the high level like a Chief Justice, I'm not about to say so, throw it away. That's why I asked that you referred us to C, 278C, meaning you mean business. So I was asking, who is going to trigger that? And you just provided an answer that the party has advised some of its members of Parliament to trigger it. Fantastic. Then we are doing serious business. So I'm hoping, I'm anticipating that as soon as possible, we will see this there. Because when it's done in Parliament, it's debated. The merits or otherwise of the motion and all that is debated. And then we will know whether there are solid cases can be advanced in the legislature for this article to be triggered into motion. Good business. There's also 146 in the Constitution. Removal of justices of the superior courts and chairman of regional tribunals. Really, the most relevant one is, I think, 1466. See, I hear people make references to the NAS Tiger Eye judicial corruption scandal investigations. What did he do? After he had done the investigative work and realized that there is a substance to the rumors and perceptions and all those things, and of course, don't forget, sometimes to the people who were victims of some of those things were those who give you the lead. He went by the constitutional provision, petitioned the president. People tend to forget. He didn't petition the Chief Justice direct. He petitioned the president. It's the president that refers. Yes, President Mahama. Then referred the matter relative to the appropriate provisions of the Constitution. Now, so that's what happened. And he was dealing with justices not of the level rank of Chief Justice. Now we are talking of Chief Justice. That's where 1466 comes in. Again, what does it say? 1466 says, please. Okay, it just says you sign it to. Okay, let's see.
A petition to the president.
It says where the petition is for the removal of the Chief Justice. The President shall, acting in consultation with the Council of State, appoint a committee consisting of 2 justices of the Supreme Court, one of whom shall be appointed chairman by the President, and 3 others who are not members of the Council of State and not members of Parliament, nor lawyers. It goes on and on. So we have 2 broad provisions. The one you cited, the Parliament comes in, and this one. But you see here, we are not talking of a remover.
Exactly.
We are not talking of the remover.
Yes, exactly.
So I asked myself, the animal called step aside, what is it?
That is on the basis. So check section 18 of the Judicial Service Act. Which talks about, you see, this is removal of a Chief Justice.
No, we've agreed.
We've agreed. So when you look at section 18 of the Judicial Service Act, that one has to do with disciplinary proceedings against a judicial officer. So a judicial officer can breach their ethics okay, which necessarily may not be a ground for removal. But because of that breach of the ethics, just like we have the General Legal Counsel that investigates lawyers for alleged breaches of our code of ethics, when judges also breach their code of ethics, the Judicial Service, in this case, I mean, the law says the Chief Justice will have to investigate that. So that one is administrative.
But does the law say that?
See, Randy, you know what? Alleged $5 million bribe. It's not a simple disciplinary matter. You know that judges, even the qualification to be appointed as judges, especially Supreme Court judges and the Chief Justice, the moral integrity is key.
Yes.
And if indeed we are probing an allegation of $5 million bribery, it's not something petty to be subjected to mere disciplinary procedures. If so, then go take the Judicial Service thing and deal with it alone.
No, you are
Why
not getting
talking
me.
Parliament?
These two are not mutually exclusive. You see, you can conduct criminal investigations into this matter or a public inquiry into the matter. Okay, for the sake of, for purposes of transparency.
Yes.
Okay, if you want the Chief Justice removed, you go by Article 146(6).
We have agreed that that is not.
But if an allegation of misconduct is made against a judge or a judicial officer, and there is no petition for the person's removal, the Judicial Service has been given the power to investigate that as an alleged misconduct. And that is why if you look at Section 16 of the Act, it talks about general definition of misconduct. An act constitutes misconduct. That's an act constitutes a misconduct by a judicial officer or executive officer if done without reasonable excuse, which contravenes an enactment relating to the service, which amounts to failure to perform in a proper manner a duty imposed on that officer, which is otherwise prejudicial to the efficient conduct of the service, and so on. Then they spell out penalties. Then they come to disciplinary authorities. 18.1. In accordance with Article 148 of the Constitution, the Chief Justice is the disciplinary authority for judicial officers and executive officers. The regulations may provide, subject to the prescribed conditions, for the delegation by the President to the Chief Justice of the powers of approval in disciplinary matters in respect of the post of a judicial officer, and in relation to a post to which the delegation applies, the Chief Justice is the disciplinary authority. The regulations may provide, subject to prescribed conditions, for the delegation by the President to the Judicial Secretary of the disciplinary powers in respect of so and so. So this one is talking about disciplinary proceedings against judicial officers. That is not mutually exclusive from a criminal investigation. You can, why? The Chief Justice, let me give you a typical example, has referred Kwesi Fifa to the General Legal Counsel for investigations into the elements of the allegation that borders on misconduct of a lawyer. But at the same time, he has referred the matter to the CID for them to also investigate the criminal element. In that same vein, the Judicial Service can also investigate the aspect that has to do with alleged misconduct of a judge, just as a FIFA is being investigated for alleged misconduct of a lawyer. And just as the CID is investigating the criminal element, another agency, whether STRAJ or a public inquiry, can also investigate that. So the two are not mutually exclusive. Okay. That's what I want to establish.
I've been asking myself a question the last 2 days. And you know the question I've been asking myself. Is there really an allegation against the Chief Justice? Is there?
But that's why I told you that for me it's malicious and useless. I see no substance in what is going on. But for the intrusion of political elements, whose whatever advantage they seek is their own problem, this matter is useless.
Mr. Bakun, you are being very, very unfair. You are being very, very, very unfair.
Why?
What are you talking about? You are saying that if a senior lawyer, a lawyer in a case at the Supreme Court, comes out to tell the General Legal Counsel that my client told me that the Chief Justice...
Not that I know.
My client... You understand? This is lawyer-client communication. My client told me that the Chief Justice has demanded bribe from him, and that my client said he has actually paid bribe to the Chief Justice. You are saying that this is malicious, it is useless. What are you talking about? You are saying that a lawyer, in fact, the lawyers are enjoyed by our code of ethics to report such matters. And so, It is serious. Even if it didn't come from Kwesi Afrifa.
He didn't report until the client made
it doesn't matter. That is an issue we can raise about Kwesi Afrifa. I'm not here to defend Kwesi Afrifa. Okay. I cannot even vouch for the truthfulness of the allegations. Okay. But I'm saying that it is right and fair for people to call for investigations into this matter. Right. And it's very unfair for me. And these days, I don't know, Mr. Bako, some of the words you use on Good Morning Ghana. If it is not irresponsible, it is useless, it is that. Sometimes very harsh. It is not fair. We also have a right to call. We are just calling for investigation. In any case, you see, by describing the calls for investigations as useless, you are describing the Chief Justice referral of the matter to the CID for investigations as useless. No, you are saying that it's a useless matter. You shouldn't have referred the matter there. The Chief Justice himself says that the matter should be investigated. He will avail himself, and you want to fight us. Why won't you fight the Chief Justice?
Your inference is wrong-headed.
But your words are very harsh these days, Mr. Bako.
If you can give me,
you are not usually you are not like that.
For me to use, if you can give me some soft words. I'm being very clear. Right. You see, and that's why I liked the point about possible reference or triggering of 278. That's serious. We're talking of code of ethics. No, this allegation, as useless and malicious as it is, should not be brought within the realm of code of ethics of the judiciary. And that's why I'm going for the Constitution in terms of the moral authority and integrity that a judge, especially of a Supreme Court level, and a Chief Justice on top. It's a serious, if you want to do the inquiry. And that's why I began from there, and fortunately you helped me. So let's forget the question of code of ethics. And my judgment is not a substitute for an outcome of any inquiry. It's just a personal opinion I expressed there, and I made that point clear. So, say it's useless and malicious, I was not suggesting that it should not be investigated. After all, the person, the victim.
An opinion on your opinion.
Okay, here.
I hear you. The use of those harsh words to describe the cause for the matter to be investigated is very unfortunate. Okay. Because the Chief Justice agrees with us that this matter is serious. It can affect the integrity of the judiciary if not handled well, for which reason it must be investigated, the truth established, and the innocent ones cleared. I don't know
have I said it shouldn't be investigated? I didn't say that.
But how can you, then you are contradicting us. How can you say the matter is useless and yet we should spend taxpayers' money to investigate
the person who has been accused has triggered something to that effect. He's referred the matter to CID because he believes that he's innocent. He believes, I'm sure, that the investigations will show how malicious and useless the allegation is. That's what I'm saying. So I have not said because it's useless and malicious in my personal opinion, that matter should not be subject
yet in your personal opinion, the matter should be investigated. Mr. Bako.
At the end of the day,
this is very simple.
At the end of the day, it is not your opinion that will establish whether it is malicious or not.
No. Then you should not be part of the call for investigations to be conducted into the matter. If the matter is useless, then you cannot be calling for investigations into a useless matter. Then leave those of us who are calling for investigations into the matter to do so. At least we are in the same class with the Chief Justice. We are in good company. The Chief Justice agrees with us that the matter is worthy of investigation. So if you think it is useless, don't join us.
I'm sure if you took your time and do a recollection, you realize that you made statements similar to what I'm saying. You believe something is totally useless, but you still will call for investigation in order to vindicate.
You want the validation.
That's all. Yeah. So I am for it. Don't you see,
Mr. Bako. This is no, Mr. Bako. We need to be consistent. Hold on. We need to be consistent. We need to be consistent on this platform. Mr. Bako is a permanent rep on this platform. Yes. And you see, I'm raising this, the objection I'm raising in line with his position on similar matters. Yeah. When Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa filed a question in Parliament for the Minister of Finance and the Minister for Defense to provide details about the President's recent trip to Europe, you said that once the ministers in question had not appeared before Parliament, it was irresponsible for him to be speaking and be prejudging the matter. Here you are calling for investigations into a matter that you have already prejudged as useless. Are you not doing the same thing that you described as irresponsible? No. If you are saying that a matter should be investigated,
do I have
then based on the same
case?
Yes, you do.
Okay, you let me end it here.
Whilst we do it to each other, I think you've been.
Oh, I thought you were done. Then I'm sorry, I didn't know.
So please, I don't see why that Blackwell matter should even be brought. It's irrelevant. It's immaterial. And I won't waste precious energy to interrogate it. The point I'm making is that in my personal opinion, and I've read those things all, I see no merit, personally. But I agree that because the allegation is against a public figure, officer of that level, unfortunately the person himself who wants it investigated, let's proceed. And that's why I asked you questions, and you pointed me to an option in the Constitution. Did I say no? No, I agreed, and I said fantastic. So that it means that you are doing serious business. So please, this is the point I am making. We agreed on the order 146 is inapplicable at this stage because we are not talking removal. Assuming some investigations brought up findings, adverse findings, then you can trigger 146. Or if the man himself resigns. Is that not so? These are the way forward. Yes, so let's just be fair to what my submission and not interpret what I'm saying. Wrong-headed inferences to what I'm saying.
Randy.
And some people sometimes get it wrong and believe what you are saying is what I was saying.
Okay.
But Randy is here to be the referee. I have not said there should be no...
Let me let him finish. I don't want us to go over and over again.
No problem.
Yes.
I have not said there should be no investigations.
Sure.
I have not said
You've
that.
not said so.
Thank you.
And I've not said you've said so. You said that there should be investigations, but you've also said that in your opinion the matter is useless.
Yes. What's wrong with that?
I'm just comparing and contrasting that with positions you have had on similar matters.
I
see that now you have replaced the word useless with no merit. So it's okay. Let's move on.
Because you forced me because you say you brought something. Look, could you two things? I did not say his question was useless.
No, that's not what you said.
And I was in support.
You were in support
because of the
and you even argued that the usefulness
of questions and answering.
That's it. But you were saying that once he had filed that question, you should have waited for the answer before.
We don't have.
It's okay. It's okay. You viewers will judge whether you are being fair.
If the Chief Justice were to go out there to prosecute his case in the public space, I would say it is irresponsible. That's not what he's doing. Blackwell was out there prosecuting his case. Even I heard.
In fact, you were wrong. But by the way, you were wrong on that related to Blackwell because there is no law which says that when you file a question in Parliament, you cannot grant interviews on the question and explain
the question you filed. You were here.
So
I never raised the legal
obstacle. In the past, I believe that criticism was very unfair and not sustainable. I mean, we can agree to disagree.
Thank you.
On this one,
but that's exactly what we are doing.
Yes.
In some aspects, that's what we are doing.
Yeah.
You see, Randy, the point about CID investigations and things and their integrity and all that, the political party NDC is entitled to make those judgments, and on basis of which they are asking the CID to be excluded, if I get the drift well, from the investigations on this matter, because the Chief Justice has referred the matter to them. CID is an institution, and it's been here for a long time and will continue to be here for a very long time. They are not perfect. There are lapses here and there in their work, but I do not proceed on basis of the perceived or real lapses and draw a conclusion that it's a useless institution that should be discarded. We can't do that. It's still here. It's a creature of law. Bosses come and go, but the institution remains. And
we live with it.
And there's a huge institutional memory that guides their work. You see, and so the specifics that are sometimes given. For instance, take the Galamsey thing. I was totally opposed to CID intervention. They intervened on basis of a ministerial directive. So really, the focus was the ministerial directive. And they took it up. Anas did not cooperate because he had already gone to the office of special prosecutor. In any case, what happened to it? The special prosecutor's investigation into what happened. But the CID one, my position was that since the matter is gone to special prosecutor, stay out. It was an opinion, a critique. But they went forward and did it. Obviously, that work could not represent comprehensively what the issues were, because there was a key missing element, Tiger Eye's testimony. It was key that from day one, without that testimony, that CID conclusion will suffer a deficit. Don't forget, it is Tiger that decided that we will not cooperate with you, but with a good reason, because we've already referred the matter to here. I don't see why I would use that as a basis to say the whole CID institution is bogus. I can't do that. The A+1, sometimes we tend to forget. I know the part that he's talking about, the part of a certain tape that emerged and the content of the tape. And I recall, I insisted that the content of the tape should be investigated because it didn't sound well. It wasn't just right, the kind of conversation that you can capture on the tape. But you see, we tend to forget something. The substance of the allegation that the CID investigated and said had no merit, that case was also sent to Shraj by a certain group. I don't know if you remember. Democratic Youth something. Shraj came to the same conclusion the CID came to and purged the two deputy chiefs of staff of the allegations. So, in actual fact, if you want to do a fair analysis, whilst it is important to look at the content of that tape, you cannot ignore the fact that the same allegations went to Shraj, and appears they have faith in Shraj, and Shraj gave a finding that coincided with the CID's finding. Shraj declined jurisdiction relative to the contents of the tape, claiming they had no jurisdiction to deal with the contents. But as for the allegations made by A+ against the two chiefs, deputy chiefs of staff, Shraj cleared them. And you know, there's a report to that effect. You see, and sometimes I blame the system. And for that matter, in this case, we are talking of this government, this administration. And to a certain extent, I'm talking about the Australia visa matter. See, Randy, Pius himself, I've spoken to him before, and I told him that it is in his own interest to insist on the publication of the CID report. The government itself should have made that report public, considering the circumstances of that case. The presidency issued a statement suspending the deputy minister and saying that pending the outcome of investigations. The suspension actually arose from a memo that the substantive minister had sent to the presidency on this Australian matter. And the president acted, says suspended, CID investigate. Transparency, accountability require that when the CID had finished, publish that report, especially when you are reinstating that minister, even though deployed to another outfit, but he remained a deputy minister. I've had serious difficulty with that. I know some media houses, including mine, published excerpts that they intercepted. I'm sure you remember. But that's not a substitute for an official communication as to the outcome of that investigation. See, this is a copy. This is a copy of the police CID report. I've had it for more than a year or two. The deputy minister was exonerated. Those who were part of the syndicate that procured the visas through misrepresentation and things are listed here. The recommendation of the CID to the Attorney General was to the effect that prosecute these names. It's all here.
Has that been done?
They went to court, I think, once or twice. They even have letters here. We dealt with the Australian government, mutual legal assistance. We needed some information. It's all here, the correspondence. The Australian government's reply, their representative in Pretoria, I think they are yes. They said, look, if you are going to do criminal prosecution, then we are sorry, we can't give you all the information. It's here, the letter is here, signed by them, for whatever reason, according to their legal regime. But it should be pious self-interest and the collective self-interest of the administration, because whether the administration likes it or not, right now it's as if there's a cover-up. You suspended him, you reinstated him, took him to a different ministry, and you don't want to publish the report. Deeply, because I can publish this, but is that a substitute for official communication? It's not. The officialdom should do it, or this series of press, meet the press, take advantage of that, disclose the contents of this report, give the media houses copies.
Just publish it on your website.
Thank you. Yeah. So again, I'm unable, sitting here, to say that, oh, the CID report, one, either is unavailable, or two, they didn't do their work. I can't do that. Based on what I'm holding here, they did their work, and they purged the deputy minister of the allegations. Indeed, I asked a question. You remember, I read excerpts of the substantive minister then, his memo on News 5. And if you read it carefully, there was a reflection of a certain bad blood between the two. And I made a point that, look, okay, this is an allegation the minister is making. It's triggered a presidential action, but it is not a substitute for investigative findings and conclusions. At the end of the day, you read this report, the minister's stand was discredited. And don't forget, he cooperated with the investigators. The deputy minister's position was vindicated. This country has
the only question. Oh, go.
Yeah, our time is up.
Oh, it's not 10 yet.
No, 9:45.
Oh, so we won't talk about the emoluments.
Unfortunately. Where you guys?
But you still have 15 minutes.
No, 15 minutes.
This is you close at 10.
Actually, the Chief Justice thing took us away.
But
you know, when I was asking you to let it go,
but on this issue of Pius Ajide, you see, a minister conducts preliminary investigations into a corruption scandal, sends a report to the president in which he indicts his deputy. The matter is referred to the CID to investigate. Mr. Bakun, who has cited a copy of the report, says the minister's account was dismissed and the deputy minister purged. That report has not been made public. The real culprits who were identified by the CID's investigation and recommended for prosecution are not standing prosecution, and so on.
And are not known by us.
So how is this?
We're speaking the same language.
I mean, it is still part of
Randy,
the way and manner we cover up crime. Because clearly, if Pius was not responsible, somebody was responsible. We need to know that person.
And that's the question everybody's been
asking. And that person must be prosecuted. And even this report is not sacrosanct. When we get copies of the report, then we can interrogate the findings and the recommendations contained therein and see whether the CID made a good job. Or whether it did a good job, or whether or not this report is akin to the report they issued on the Charles Bisu matter, even when they had not spoken to Anas Arabia. Mr. Bako, we can't work with your judgment. We also have to get copies
with everybody.
He doesn't disagree with you.
I don't disagree with you, but I'm saying
he doesn't disagree with you.
I'm saying that the fact that the CID says that somebody is innocent doesn't mean the person is innocent.
Of course,
unless we get a report and then we interrogate the report.
CID makes investigations. Is sent to AG. AG builds a docket. Docket goes to court because AG cannot find somebody guilty. Yes. It's the court.
And this AG never saw it necessary, or the former AG.
No, we are not. You see, don't personalize it. I said AG's office.
And so the
docket.
AG,
you know,
when
it comes to these things,
so all of them never saw the need.
No better than
no, but Mr. Bako, including President Akufo-Addo, they never saw the need to prosecute the real culprits, people who extorted money from innocent Ghanaians, and they were taking them abroad and embarrass this country.
Let me thank you for joining me on the show.
Your
Thanks
friend is
for
not
joining
doing
me.
good at all.
We'll be back shortly with Trending.
Masa, tam Maria, I'm kind of Kofi. I am no more budget born again. Why? Have a beer, you can have a big why?
Number 7 shared by one of your born with your body temperance of the one of India.
HD logo the bottom. Where you say HD local channels na mo and so pictures near clear. E 5 times better. As other channels that could be show. So what I mention on camera why? Oh, what the pictures.
Who knows tomorrow?
What a picture. What do AD plus decoder or multi TV and now natural agent PR natural local channels now HD the here so better
Star 879 hash
numbers from people box and now the advert AD channels now you can
get an HD Plus decoder from now till the 9th of August for just $89.99 Ghana cedis and enjoy 3 months free subscription. Enjoy all the excitement and live sports action in the HD Plus Air Bosso Philippines promo lasts from 7th June to 9th August 2021. Visit hd-plus.com.gh or call 024-243-9872 for more info.
Half a nose for good things.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
The world has seen a lot of evolution in recent times. Global network facilitated by trade continues to grow stronger and forge nations closer together.
On International Trade Focus, we'll share with you the current industry, tech and commercial avenues turning the world's trade wheel. This is your gateway to international business connections and trading events. Get the inside views, vital information, trends and analysis on emerging trade giants in Ghana and beyond. International Trade Focus, the global television trade showcase, transcending barriers in creativity and innovation. Join me, Anna Spiel, as I give you a whole menu of international trade activities. International Trade Focus, your timely business hub. International Trade Focus is brought to you by GO, ADB, Pediatric Valley Resorts and Public Elegance.
Welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. And we're here now to check out what is trending. And we call this Good Morning Ghana Trends. And Desmond Okreku Danso, who's always out there on the internet checking out what is trending, is here with me. Good morning, Des.
Good morning, Papa Randy.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. Yourself?
You look good.
Thank you very much.
Learning
from you. You look good too.
So what's trending?
Well, what's trending this morning? Wasi is trending on Twitter. A lot of people are talking about Wasi, and we also talk about Honorable Ken Ejapon. He's in the trend again this morning. So let's start with the Wasi trend. Now, the Minister of Education, Osei Educhum, mentioned that the ministry procured 446,954 sets of past questions at a unit price of 78 Ghana cedis. And he was speaking to Parliament, and the minister said that the unit price represents a 32% increase over the 2020 unit price of 59 Ghana cedis. And he said that the Ministry of Education contracted Measures Kingdom Books and Stationery to supply 568,755 WASI past questions at a contract price of 33 million Ghana cedis. And a lot of people are reacting to that on social media. So let's just go through some of the things people are saying on social media. Well, this one says that the Education Ministry have bought 446,954 past questions for the 2021 WASI student at a unit price of 78 Ghana cedis. Meanwhile, basic schools are yet to receive textbooks on the new curriculum, which has been in use since 2020. 78 cities for passcode. That's a question there from Twitter. This one says that this can store all WASI passcode for students to use. And it's talking about the Amazon Kindle, which costs $70. And if there's 35 million Ghana cedis for paper, that is environmentally unfriendly books, can't we get them tablets? So that's another question coming in from Twitter this morning. And Mr. Seyram on Twitter says 34.8 million cedis for WASI past questions. Why am I not surprised? After all, this is what we voted for. And let's check out another one from Twitter. And okay, this one says that, this from Adam Agbana. It says that President Akufo-Addo and his government spent 34.8 million cedis to purchase all of these past questions. Well, when I was in school, past questions, you just get them in a couple of books and all of that. But anyways, let's move on and talk about Kennedy Japan, because the Asin Central MP is still trending on social media after his utterances on journalist Erastus Asari Donko. And the Speaker of Parliament has referred him to the Privileges Committee over the alleged threats that he made on the life of the journalist. And the motion was moved by Al-Hassan Sunyini, the Tamale Central MP. And it's got a lot of people talking on social media also. And this one says that the image of the country is bruised because of his continuous outbursts against journalists. Honorable Ken Ejapon is a threat to free speech. Well, that is from Bright Bovi, and he said that on Twitter. And to the next one, this one is from Mayor of Tamale. He says that the laws of this country can't do Ken Ejapon nothing. Wait to see that one. And to the next one also, this one says from William on Twitter says, Honorable Kennedy Japan killed Ahmed Swale. Well, we can't say that for sure. Now he's issued a threat on the life of another journalist. And this one says, Jacob Zuma broke the law, then put down for jail. But Kennedy Japan, they break the law left and right and still walking free. Ghana is for the rich. So, Papa Randy, these are some of the trends on social media this morning. With the WASI, it's building up on Twitter. A lot of people are not happy that the past questions would have to cost about 34 million Ghana cedis. That's a...
Well, if it will be 34 million for 2020. If you add 2021, we're at 68 million.
68 million?
Yes, and for 2020, we purchased it at a unit cost of 59 cedis. For 2021, we're purchasing it at a unit cost of 78 cedis. Both sole sourced. And one of the issues people raise is that over the same period, price of textbooks have not increased. But that of Pasco has increased by 19 cedis per unit.
That's a lot. That's a lot. It's still waiting on social media though. And tomorrow I'll be back to bring to you everything that people are talking about on Twitter. That's it for GMG Trends this morning.
Thanks very much, Desmond, for joining me. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Definitely.
All right, so that will be it for Good Morning Ghana today. Thanks for being a part of the show. And God willing, we'll be with you tomorrow. Have a pleasant day.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.